Welcome back to Fanshawe Learns. I'm Robert Springett. Discussions continue around the 2014 budget at City Hall, but with October slowly creeping up on us, discussions around the next municipal election and whispers around who is and who isn't running are getting louder and louder. Today I'm joined by Stephen Turner, candidate for Ward 11, a seat currently held by Councillor Denise Brown. Stephen has served as President of Urban League of London, a Director of the Board of Reforest London, a member of numerous city advisory committee and task force, and currently sits on the board of the Old South Community Organization. Thank you for joining us, Stephen.
Thank you, Robert.
Well, we got to start off with first running for Ward 11, a seat held by Councillor Denise Brown, in a neighborhood, Wortley Village, Canada's best neighborhood. How do you improve it?
Well, it's hard to improve on perfection, right? I think what you need to do is protect it, and that's going to be one of the key parts. Right now, Old South is being proposed to have a heritage conservation district, and hopefully that'll be enacted in the next month or two. I think that'll go a long way to easing some of the pressures of development within the neighborhood and kind of preserving that character. But the ward also goes to the other side of Warncliffe, all the way to Wonderland Road, and there's unique characters within each community, and I think it's going to be really important to help the communities preserve what they think is important within their neighborhoods.
And you're going to be going up against her in October, but Councillor Denise Brown, you've been a constituent of hers as a resident in Ward 11, but how do you think she represents the community, including herself?
Well, I think Denise certainly has the best intentions for the community. I have certainly disagreed with a lot of the decisions she's made over the past few years, and that's why I'm running as well. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be up for the residents of Ward 11 to decide who best articulates the vision and values of the neighborhood.
What are your visions and values?
For me, I think it's going to be really important to focus on accountability and transparency in this upcoming election. I think the last 3-4 years have been almost embarrassing. They've eroded a lot of the confidence that voters and people have in their civic government. And City Hall is the level of government that's closest to the people. And so if you can't trust City Hall, then it makes it really difficult to trust government in general. For me, I launched the Clean Money Challenge, and for me that means not accepting money from businesses or unions, and that's important because there's a lot of businesses and unions, especially land developers, that do business with the city. And if you've donated to a municipal campaign, then it makes it difficult not to have a conflict of interest for that councillor when those decisions come up.
And sorry to cut you off, but some of the response from, I know the councillors have been one thing, but those who are voting, what are their responses to that challenge? I
was amazed, overwhelming response, and very, very favorable. They're very supportive of the idea that we have a clean and a council that has a lot of integrity. So that's why I put it out there. I wanted to see other councillors and other candidates take up that challenge, and let's start new. Let's start fresh. This wouldn't be the first time it's done in Canada. The federal government, back I believe 2003, put restrictions on corporate and union donations. The City of Toronto, just before the 2010 election, put the same restrictions on, and I'd like to see the province allow the rest of municipalities in Ontario to do the same.
We heard this in the Ontario by-election campaign platforms, jobs, 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 jobs. How do you bring more jobs into London, specifically at Ward 11? Yeah,
specifically in jobs in London, I think the piece that's kind of been missing has been focus on small business. It represents over 60% of the employment in London, yet all the strategies and all the tactics that have been employed seem to be focused at catching the big fish, trying to catch the next auto manufacturer or something like that. Support for small business hasn't really been in the discussion at the table of this council. And I think that's where we need to kind of go see if we can take the small businesses that are here, help them expand. One councillor put forward a hire one tactic to try and help just hire one more person and see what that does to the economy. And it had great results, and probably a lot of the new jobs that we've seen in London are as a result of that. Let's go further. Let's take a look at co-op placements for Fanshawe and Western students, so that they can have jobs and employment directly in the community. And so then when they graduate, they already have exposures and experience in the community with our employers, and they might stay. and help build the community even further.
We mentioned it a little bit earlier. Budget deliberations going through City Hall until the end of the month, but where do you stand on a 0% tax increase?
A tax freeze is really difficult to achieve, and it doesn't really reflect the complexity of the budget. Property taxes don't increase naturally; they're static unless the government increases taxes, as opposed to income taxes, which are dynamic. When inflation goes up, people earn more, and more money goes to the federal and provincial governments. That doesn't happen with municipal governments. In fact, the cost to do a service this year will cost more next year just because of inflation. And so the civic government needs to raise a little bit more money. I think we need to hold property taxes to the rate of inflation. I think that's reasonable. And I think we need to look at revenue pieces through either development charges, take a look at our development charges appropriately, make sure that growth is paying for growth. And that the services that we're offering have good value for those services. If there's services that we're performing that don't meet the needs of the city, then those are the ones we need to reevaluate.
Okay, before we let you go, anything else you want to add?
You know, I'm really excited to be running. I've had a really good connection with the community. I'm fascinated to hear people's issues and concerns, and I really want to be able to represent those interests at City Hall. Yeah,
and talk about the overall response from the community now that you announced that you were running. It was just a little bit over a month now.
Yeah, you know, the response has been really supportive. I'm really encouraged. I wasn't sure what to expect when I put my nomination forward. For years, I've been working outside of City Hall to help improve the conditions in our neighborhoods and the policies in our city. And I think this is a good opportunity to start working from inside.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. Stephen Turner running for Ward 11 in the 2014 municipal election in October. Stay tuned. We'll have more Fanshawe Learns after the break.